Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Well, hello there. This is episode number 68 of the Batman on Film Social Hour. I am the host of this BOF podcast. I am Jett Ramey, and also the founder of Batman on Film. And joining me today, I have two senior BOF contributors, Ryan Lauer and Peter Verra. Hello there.
How you doing?
Hi.
What's going
How's
on?
everybody?
Good.
Yeah,
Pete,
good.
You haven't been on a couple shows. I've retired. Hey, now, sad day when that happened.
Really? Why'd you do that?
I find I cannot listen to Howard Stern show anymore. It's gotten not good.
Really?
Yeah, bummed out about it to a certain
I'm sorry to
degree.
hear that.
Yeah.
You want to like put a poll out there of a new welcome saying
Yes. Well, I'm kind of
Good morning-
going with
good morning,
I'm thinking,
Vietnam.
Like it, it's kind of like, well, hello there. So I mean, that does have a Batman on Film. What I want to call connotation.
that you'd almost think that's like a Garrett Grev saying hello there
Yeah.
from the happy state of
Well,
Minnesota. Well, hello there.
Well, let me change my inflection. Well, hello there. Come on now. Y'all know what that's from.
I just woke up. I'm not functioning properly.
Batman movie. Your
Yeah,
favorite,
well, I don't
Lauer.
like-
Hmm.
Oh, that's Joker.
Yeah.
That's Heath Joker.
Heath Joker in the hospital.
Oh, there.
Yes.
There you go.
So there.
Or I was almost thinking you could have said, or like to remix a little bit, is when Poison Ivy drops down and Batman and Robin show. Hi there. at the good
Oh, I haven't thought
fundraiser or
about that in
whatever.
a long
Hi there.
time. Yeah.
You haven't watched that movie in a while, Bill? No, go put it in after this.
It's been a while. Now,
Curses.
if I'm perusing flipping through channels and it's on, I'll watch a little bit of it. I'll do that for about any Batman movie, even Batman Returns.
Oh,
Yeah.
So-
And BVS? BVS too, right?
No, except
Too
I don't.
soon.
That's not,
too soon.
I don't. Solo Batman movies. You know,
Okay.
that's my wheelhouse.
You got him with Returns, so
Yeah,
Progress.
I was trying to push my luck.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'm.
you got to know your line.
So anything new, boys? Anything you want to mention? Anything new? Batman in your life? Bought anything? Collectibles? You are talking
Oh.
about a comic book. What? No Man's Land's got something new that's came out.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just my Blu-rays for the Batman have come in, so
Yeah.
I've got my Walmart exclusive box set and my Best Buy Steelbook. So those came in this week, and they are both beautiful. And
Which one
like-
do you like better? Do you have one you like better? The Walmart versus the Best Buy?
I have no idea. I don't know. They're both cool in their own right. The Walmart exclusives are really cool, like display. It's two really cool display pieces. You count the tin and the box set itself,
Yeah.
and then the Steelbook has arguably the best cover out of all of them. But they all have their own. It all depends on what you want. But,
I've got the
I'm a
Walmart.
big fan of both.
Y'all, I think both of y'all had said, yeah, you probably want to go with the Walmart one because I like to display,
It's cool.
you know,
Yeah,
my
that's really
Blu-rays.
cool.
And so I did a little unboxing of that one. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's nice. I got the license plate thing, tin.
Mhm.
on display. And
I
the
thought
box
that was
set.
the cover of the box set at first because it's kind of got like that sticky tack thing on it.
Yeah,
and it
I was when I started to kind of take it off, I was like, okay, am I effing this up?
Yeah.
So, but it I was not. So,
There's
Lauer,
an
which
awesome
one do you
picture of
like
Batman.
better? You have a preference?
Well, I'm still waiting for my damn steelbook that was supposed to arrive 2 days
Okay.
ago.
I don't want to hear you
Um,
complain because you got all the toys, all the McFarlane toys in the world. They come to Indiana first, so
All right.
you
Well,
really got no room
anyways,
to complain here.
so actually yesterday, my Walmart version arrived. I haven't opened it yet.
Okay.
But I couldn't help myself, and I went and I got the Target version,
I like that cover too.
which has a cool slipcase of like the red background, and then his head's in silhouette, and it's got the Batman.
Is the
the
DVD
slip-
packaging itself, is it the same as the rest?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
The disc in the Blu-ray case is the standard one that
there's
Bill,
nothing
that you showed in your review.
Yeah.
There's 15 minutes of exclusive bonus featurette content on the Target version.
Is there?
Yes.
What
So we
is
can
it?
talk about that when you bring it up.
Yeah.
Whenever you dive into those extras. But as far as like Batman stuff, I got a bookshelf that I got to start putting some Batman stuff on. And that is stressful when you can't unload all of your Batman stuff on one shelf and you got to start picking and choosing what goes on a shelf.
The best of the best.
Yeah. So Absolute Long Halloween ended up on there.
Why?
Of course. Absolute Dark Victory, Absolute Batman Year One, and then like the top two shelves are the Batman. Got some goodies out there.
I'm about to have to get another shelf.
You're gonna have to get an extension.
I'm gonna expand.
You have to add on to the house.
Looking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta get a third floor.
Because I've got. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Bill, did you end up going to an Ollie's? Last time we talked about an Ollie's.
You know what?
and I went back to an
I
Ollie's yesterday.
texted
got
you.
more
I
books.
found one.
Yeah.
I found one about 20 miles from me in Louisville. So I'm gonna go check it out.
Are these
All right.
Ollie's only west of the Mississippi? I don't think we have them around here.
I don't know. Haas
Well,
is,
yeah,
been
Ron
to 'em.
Haas has been
Okay.
to them.
All right.
I don't know if it's
So,
back in Tennessee or what about
look it up.
It's a
and,
good find. Good find.
No, I just went to I did a Google search and then went to the website and did location, and yeah, there's one there's one here in Louisville, about 20 miles from me.
Pete's
All right.
coming to Indiana later this year, so we'll take a trip to Ollie's.
Got to be
Okay.
careful where they put
All right.
those stickers. They're very careless with their stickers. Right on the cover, like, oh god, I'm not buying that.
On some of them, ones that aren't packaged, they do, but
Are they really
Yeah.
sticky stickers where they're hard to get off, where you have to better off just leaving them on there because
for
it'll
the, it's not terrible in taking off. It leaves a little residue sometimes.
yeah.
But I've got the good old fashioned Goo Gone. You put that on there and whoosh.
Gone. Wow. That
Well-
doesn't move anything.
We're going to focus today on, and I have a story to tell. And Brian Lauer just crushed me, just absolutely crushed
did.
me, and I'm like
My bad.
in a funk over it. But we're going to talk about Matt Reeves' commentary on the entire film. Pete, have you got a chance to listen to it?
I have not. No.
Okay, well,
I've
cool.
read
That's
the,
fine.
quick-
Then I'd like to see
I
a
read the
little,
cliff notes.
reaction. That was the main thing I wanted to get. So, and then it became, or I wanted to watch and listen to, was Reeves' commentary. And then, then it was an Apple exclusive. I'm not an Apple guy, so I was bummed out. So I talked to several people. Lauer gave me suggestions and whatnot. So I ended up, because I don't have anything. I'm not an Apple person. I never, but I had to find my Apple account, and it was like impossible to get, almost impossible to get find my password. I finally figured that out after about an hour of going through reset password nonsense. You ever do that, reset password, and then you
So
reset
this
the
isn't
password? and
Apple's
just-
issue. This is Bill's issue.
No, it's a freaking Apple. I'm blaming Apple 100%. That's why I don't have no
Sounds like a Bill
goddamn
problem.
iPhone or any of that bullshit. So So I finally got it all connected, all synced up. I go to,
Because you love it when it's all connected.
I do. Everything's got to be, it's all connected. So I go to Movies Anywhere. I put in my code, one of the codes, and then there it is. It pops up on the Apple TV on my big TV out in the living room. So I put on the Batman, and nowhere can I find the damn extras, just the damn movie. And I was pissed. And I was flicking through that thing and hitting buttons left and right, could not find in them. So I log out. I have Jake come down, as he's got an iPhone and he uses, iTunes.
Modern
for his
technology.
music. So I log in through his account and I buy the damn Batman. And then I access the freaking extras. So I'll watch it, took notes and all this stuff, even typed them out and everything. And then, so I get on this morning, we're going to talk about it. And I tell Lauer my story. And he's like, I had no problem. I got them. And I'm like, what? And I was just crushed. Just crushed.
I didn't look. I redeemed my code yesterday, but I didn't look for the extras. I checked it out. I got it. And, but I was like, okay, cool. Now I have it digitally, physically. It's on HBO Max. No one's ever going to take this movie away from me. I have it forever. So we were going to start talking about the animated films. I figure, okay, we got a year plus until The Flash with Batman in it, and so why not go through the animated films? And then I said, you know what? I got a hold of Matt Reeves commentary. Let's talk about it. It's probably maybe one of the last Batman things we talk about. So now, Ryan, you're the son of a bitch. You got right into it immediately.
Yeah.
No issue. That gummit.
No.
And
No.
you did listen, right? Like you told me, like a podcast, correct? With Reeves. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And your overall assessment before we get into individual things.
It was very enjoyable listening to him on different aspects. It wasn't. I haven't listened to many commentaries. I've heard some that are basically just like describing what's on the scene or what's on the screen and aren't giving. I don't know, just not giving much context about, or anything like that. But Reeves was very, I thought, very good, very talkative, and you could feel his excitement talking about filming parts of the movie. And sometimes, like he's talking about, oh yeah, filming this scene, and then he's telling the story about that, and then just kind of starts morphing into another story. It's not like, okay, what you're seeing now, yeah, that was fun. Next scene, okay. I don't know. It was fun to listen to. I guess is my short answer.
Let me take a moment to talk about Athletic Greens. This episode of the Batman on Film Social Hour is brought to you by Athletic Greens. So what is this stuff? What is Athletic Greens? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, and probiotics to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of these things. AG1 is lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. AG1 contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. It also supports better sleep quality and recovery, and it supports mental clarity and alertness. So how much is this going to cost? AG1 will cost you less than $3 a day. It's cheaper than getting all your different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/emerging. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/emerging to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. I really liked it. It was like the main thing. We got a little bit of a tease of it with his commentary on the Batman Joker scene and also the Batman Riddler scene, both at Arkham. And I really wanted to see what he had to say across the whole film. So I found some even more little tidbits of information that I didn't pick up in the film, So Ryan, did you feel that way or no?
Yeah, and I thought there's some specifics. I don't know. I feel like I've heard. Was it the Dolby podcast? It was like a 2-parter of Reeves and like sound guys, and then Reeves and Michael Giacchino and stuff. He might have been there because that's like 3 or 4 hours worth put together. Mentioned some things that when he brought up in here, it seemed like, oh, I've heard a little bit of this, but he got a lot more specific in the commentary, which was cool. Like for example, I think on those he mentioned that there was a scene where Peter Sarsgaard, who played Coulson, that there was a time where something just wasn't working.
Yeah,
or maybe Zoe
and,
Kravitz mentioned that at one point and said, the scene wasn't working, so they just stopped. And then they went and wrote it and came back the next day and did it. Well, he says in the commentary exactly which part that is and how that worked out and how he's in. He mentions it a few times of like, collaboration and, Skarsgård had said that, it had an idea. Reeves tried his way, like Matt Reeves' way. And he's like, it just wasn't working. And you either stop now and fix it, or you find out in 6 months, this didn't work. He said, so it's a lot, but we stopped, and it's in the the drop scene in the 44 Below.
Yeah, 44 Below.
That I don't know what the original scene was or anything. He didn't say that. He just said that like it wasn't working, and we stopped, and we went and worked it out, and came back and shot it. So I thought some stuff like that's interesting.
Whatever what they came up with and shot and it's in the film, well, it worked because it's a really good scene. So here's some of the things I get y'all's take on. I wrote down and Ryan add to it if you want. I thought it was interesting that Paul Dano was the one who suggested wrapping his head in cellophane, and then it sucked. Once he did it and shot the first scenes, but he decided to keep it because
true professional.
He said, I'm going to go with it. So,
and his reasoning was because he thought Nashton is so methodical and thinking every single detail that he would think I can't even let the possibility of one hair follicle falling at the scene. So that was the reason for the saran wrap.
Yeah.
I think it's great. It came from the actor and not the director. I kind of like that.
And then Reeves says in there too is just nothing but praise on Dano for that idea too. And he's like, that's such a great idea. And Reeves even, like Bill, like you just kind of even said, I think he after like three takes or something like that. Was kind of like, we don't have to do this, but Dano's like, no, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's that's a very clever take. I'm not gonna let a hair follicle be left behind.
That's thinking deep.
Yeah,
I've never been wrapped in saran wrap before.
No,
but I can imagine it's uncomfortable.
I would. Let's see.
Can I add also in that?
You never wore like a garbage bag to shed some weight in a sauna? I imagine it's gotta be like that. It's just hot and,
high school wrestlers, like our wrestlers used to do that a lot, to put on a garbage bag and go run and stuff. And I'm like, no thanks. He also said in that scene, there's somewhere the editor of the movie, has this clip of, there was a take where Dano had the suggestion that after he beats the mayor, he like goes into a corner and sits for a bit. And Reeves has said that it's a really good and creepy take, but it was too long for already a long movie, so they cut that. It's obviously very small. It doesn't change the movie or anything, but I mean, if he's sitting there saying that it's a creepy, cool vibe, that's something to me. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that's like.
Well, we
I wonder
know
if it's a
that.
deleted
Yeah. Go ahead, Pete.
I said, I wonder if it's in the deleted scenes.
The only
I
two
think the deleted scenes only
scenes-
have 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is too bad.
Batman,
I haven't checked
Joker,
on any of
and Selena and the Penguin.
I could
Oz.
see the cutting out of the Selena and Penguin one, but I also
I
it.
like that scene quite a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. It showed a different side to Oz than you see in what you see in the film.
Yeah.
He likes, I don't know if he likes, but he likes Selena. You can tell. And she, she's got the contacts in, she's spying for Batman. So she's on edge. So she's rushing through and she's not being very personable at all with Oz. And he it comes across as like, this is how people have treated me forever, So,
Yeah.
But they dismiss him or, whatever. But I can see why they cut it for time. But it was a nice little scene. We know the Batman is very grounded, and I liked when he talked about the reasoning for Drifter Bruce Wayne, and that when you see the film, I just thought it was a straight up nod to year one, right? Batman walking the streets in the element and blah, blah. Of course, in year one's before he's Batman, and in the Batman, he's already Batman. But to Reeves, it was like, okay, how does he do this? How is it practical? I mean, how does he pick out a crime when he's up on a rooftop in his Batman suit, So he come up with the idea of him having the suit in his backpack, and he's out there in disguise, in the city,
Drifting.
yes, amongst the element. And then, when he sees something start to go down, then puts on the Batman suit and Batmans it up. So I thought that was really interesting, because I didn't think about that when I saw the film.
Well, I read that on your tidbits on Batman on Film, and when I read that, I was like, okay, so he's at least wearing the pants, right? Like somebody's committing a crime, he's got a quick change real quick.
I always thought the Drifter Bruce Wayne had on the same.
That's why the pants are so baggy.
Yeah.
I thought that he had like a really big pair of like cargo pants on top of his Batman pants, right? Even just looking at the action figure, he seemed very big and bulky and large. Like he had like parts of the suit on.
Yeah.
All he needs to do is like put on maybe like the chest plate and the cowl and the gloves and just kind of swoop into action. He's like half dressed.
I thought that seemed the most noticeable towards the end when he shows up at the lounge, when he does the big cut in the power and all that. I thought that looked the most noticeable of. He's got the pants. He's ready to go.
It's Reeves did say it is a nod to year one, but also there's a practical aspect of it. He's on the ground. He's in, you know what I mean? He's going through it, and he can, he can't do that as Batman, right? You can't be walking the streets as Batman, for one thing, and he can't do it as Bruce Wayne. He'd be recognized, so he's, in disguise, essentially.
Matches Malone.
Yeah.
he Reeves reiterates a lot during the whole commentary too, of it is not practical that you can be Batman, but we need to act as though it is.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how many times he says that in different scenes and stuff too, of like practically, like it was as much as saying like we couldn't get him with the cowl and the ears fitting in the car. That's not practical, stuff like that. And
was that a problem for them too?
Yeah.
I remember that was a problem for Keaton. That he had a special like Batmobile cowl because his
Oh.
ears are too tall.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he brought that up quite a bit. And so, I mean, just how you just said it with the practical bill, it reminded me of that. He's not, because I know there can be a lot of criticisms of the whole Batman can't really happen in the real world. It's like, well, the creators, the people behind the movie know that, they recognize that, but they're like, but we need to, as practically as possible.
Sure.
Which
Yeah.
that approach works.
The journal writing, again, I'm thinking, okay, this is a year one nod, but it also it was inspired by Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, where Dr. Jekyll does his experiments and then keeps a journal on the outcome.
That was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
That's cool. Didn't he also say something about involve like a police officer?
Yeah, he
Writing.
said, I wrote that down. He found a journal online from a rookie cop who worked the night shift and inspired some of those journal writings from Bruce. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the takeaway definitely is going to be the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, because it's something that all of us have heard of and stuff, and that's cool.
I never thought of that, and I love these little tidbits like that. He talks about, we know that he did not want to do an origin tale and was adamant about that, and he wanted this to be a movie where Batman has an arc, not a villain. It's not, and Batman is the focus, not a villain. And that's evident in the film, right?
Yeah. I mean, he goes from vengeance to inspiration, right? That's kind of
Well, that's the whole
point.
arc.
yeah.
The Batman voice, he says, and I had read this before somewhere, that they decided for him not to have two distinct voices from Bruce Wayne and Batman, and mainly due to the fact that there was so much, Batman had more dialogue in this film than probably any character in the film, and probably as opposed to any other Batman film. So they did you, as y'all watched it, did you think like he sounds the same as Bruce as he does Batman? Or
The first time I watched the movie, I didn't notice a change in the voice, but the more I watch it now, I can hear the tone and the pitch of the Batman voice differently than I can the Bruce Wayne voice. You know, it's a little bit rougher. It has a little bit more Keaton in line with it than it does with Bale. You know, it's just kind of like
Reeves said he didn't want to do the growl.
Yeah, he did. It's nothing like Bale's voice. It's definitely more in line of like, you know, you're not the mayor. You know, like it's kind of like that. So, but the more I listen to it, the more I hear it. Like especially when he goes to the twins, it's a little bit more rougher. You know, but when he's talking with Gordon, it's more Wayne. You know, he kind of like uses it when he needs to. When he wants to intimidate somebody, he uses his Batman voice. When he's talking to Gordon, it's more or less like his Bruce Wayne voice.
I don't think Reeves said this. Ryan, tell me if I'm wrong. But as I've watched the film all these times, and I noticed that there's not a huge difference in the voice. To me, my interpretation was always, well, there's really no Bruce Wayne. He's just Batman, and it's just, that's it. You know.
I don't know exact wording, but I think that's very similar what Reeves said in the commentary as much too.
And
I mean, just reinforce that there isn't really a Bruce Wayne identity.
So it'll be interesting.
A difference between the two.
I want to see where they take Bruce Wayne. I don't think they're going to, in the sequel, I don't know if he'll ever be Playboy Bruce Wayne and do it like Bale did, and Bale did great with that aspect of the character. But Bruce, obviously, I think, y'all can please comment. I mean, in the sequel, Bruce will evolve too, right? Along with Batman, because you saw him start with, in the hospital with Alfred, you know.
I think that was set up pretty nicely. A little, it's mentioned, accountants from Wayne Enterprises are coming. So Wayne Enterprises is the thing. It's not like Batman 89. We're kind of like, well, how did this guy make his money? It's kind of, there's a lot of questions there. When Enterprises is active, and that's where he makes his money. So I imagine things like that will be explored in future sequels. And whether he's a playboy or not, that is yet to be seen. But I think he will start to kind of come out of his shell a little bit, because I think it's just part of what Batman needs to do. Bruce Wayne needs to kind of be a public figure. This way people aren't assuming, what Bruce Wayne does with his time and his money.
Well, and Bella Real told him at the funeral for the mayor, your family did a lot for Gotham and you seem to be doing nothing, which, we know what he's doing is Batman, but Bruce really isn't doing anything. Bruce Wayne isn't doing anything for Gotham. And even, Alfred talks about, don't you care about your family's legacy? You had the accountants were coming. I don't care about that. I don't care about any of that. So, he has to go take a more active role, and then maybe in that active role as Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne also starts doing things for Gotham as well.
Did you get the vibe that Wayne Enterprises wasn't doing well because of how Alfred worded it? Like, he's like, Alfred made it seem like you're not active in Wayne Enterprises and the company's kind of like falling apart. That's almost how I took it when I went in the movie. That's why the accountants are coming over, because we need to talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
your company's failing because you're not paying attention.
I don't think he's about to lose all his money, but I think, Wayne Enterprises is not.
They're getting a little worried.
Yeah.
Ron,
Ron,
CEO isn't doing anything.
What's your take on that?
Well, as far as like what we're going to see the next evolution of Bruce Wayne, I like the idea of, the animated series. It's almost like there was comments if there were gatherings of like some women that would be, something with like swoon over Bruce Wayne and stuff. And maybe there was a comment here or there, but he almost seemed as if he was involved with Wayne Enterprises, and, he was giving money to charities and foundations and stuff like that. I'd like to see that route. I think that's a way that you can go different, where he's not the playboy, but you still toe that line of it's not completely obvious of like, oh, well, clearly he's Batman. And I think the link with Bella Real, like that can be the public Bruce Wayne starts to come out in the next movie, and he can totally use her of like, she approached me and, really inspired me to want to do more or something like that, throw it all on her. And not that I had this big reckoning, or not reckoning, but I don't know. That'd be interesting. I don't know if he could full on go matches Malone, but that would be great. I mean, that's a 70s poll. When did Matches Malone first show up? Was it the 70s?
70s, yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Matt
think
Reeves
he's been
loves the
around since
70s.
the
I remember as a kid, Matches Malone,
Yeah, and Matt Reeves loves the 70s. So, I mean, why not? But I mean, people like calling Drifter Bruce Wayne too. So, but I think we get more of a public. Maybe if there's an inclusion of Harvey Dent, Bruce Wayne helps Harvey Dent and becomes friends with Harvey Dent, fighting crime and stuff. So
people in Gotham,
I think Bruce Wayne can be intricate to rebuilding the city.
Yeah.
It's kind of set up for him.
Yeah. People know Bruce Wayne. I mean, when he did go out for the funeral,
Officer Martinez does.
Yes. My favorite character in the whole movie.
Reeves loved
Mr.
him
Wayne.
too. He brought him up a few times of like how much he loved how that actor played that character.
But when he arrives at the funeral, all the press, the paparazzi, Bruce Wayne, they know, and even Falcone calling him, oh, you got the Prince of the City here, so he's known, but he's still a recluse, which brings up he talks again about the Kurt Cobain inspiration. Reeves said, I wrote it down, tragic celebrity. And I know people when we first saw Bruce Wayne spy pics or whatever, and the official releases, people why does he's emo Batman, emo Bruce Wayne, he looks like, he was supposed to look like. It's not like Robert Pattinson decided he was going to show up with that haircut and
I think it's a great haircut.
yeah, because he's completely.
personally hate
I mean, he
myself.
does not care what he looks like, and that's also evident in the suit when he's put. He was going to go to the funeral without cufflinks with his shirt without any kind of cuffs or buttons. You know,
He's not going dressed.
because he just doesn't care. So I we know about. Reeves said he looks like a drug addict because he's out all night doing as Batman, and he's, I guess, sleep during the day. And then I like that little nod in Batman in the movie when he comes down when the accountants are coming and he's out in the light and he has to put on sunglasses because he's always in the dark.
He's not used to it.
Yeah.
He's a nocturnal animal for 2 years.
Nocturnal animal. All right, let me see. Oh, there was a lot. Zoe Kravitz came up with a lot of good ideas throughout the shooting. Talk about collaboration, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Anything struck
Yeah.
out? I was.
Well, I'm embarrassed that I think way back when you and I did this, I don't know if
Yeah.
it was a spoiler free or the spoiler talk of the show, that I didn't have a lot of things that instantly reminded me of year one. I mentioned Long Halloween, Earth One, and the Telltale Sins of the Father. Like, things in the movie directly made me think of that. And according to Reeves, there's quite a bit of that I should have instantly felt year one. And looking back now, it's very obvious. And yeah, two things that stick out three things is Zoe Kravitz's input on Selena and how she wanted to look exactly like Selena when Bruce is watching her in her apartment. At the beginning, it was her choice that she wanted to look in the tank top and stuff. People online call it like the S&M outfit that she's wearing with at the end when she's with Falcone. And then she wanted the haircut.
Yeah, and
God
also
bless that.
it was her idea for her to scratch Falcone
Oh, yeah.
in the same spot where we didn't know
Spoiler.
this. If you hadn't watched, he is scratched before she scratches him. He has
Did
scratch
you see
scars.
that?
I did.
Did you guys see that? Okay,
I did.
because I did too, and
Yeah.
anybody else that I talked to didn't. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't think that I'm making this up.
No,
I don't
you're
think
making
I'm
it up.
projecting.
I've got to actually pay attention to that little detail. I get so caught up in the
It's
movie.
never like he looks right at the screen and then
Yeah.
you see it. It's like, it's at an angle, and I'm like, man, there's
Yeah.
scars there on
Yeah.
his cheek. Okay, now carry on, Bill.
Was her idea that she scratch him in the same spot where, wait for it, her mother scratched him when he killed her years before. So, well done. And Zoe Kravitz came up with the "You got a lot of cats" line for Bruce Wayne, for Batman in the apartment.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. That's one of
Yeah.
my favorite.
I got to think about Strays, and it was how do we make this work? And then because Reeves liked it, and then they did the whole. You got a lot of cats.
I do like that.
I love that one.
movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The cats
Should be so
really
good.
like Batman because they're moving around his legs and purring.
And there's that one that is just such a good little kitty.
Isis.
I want that cat. Yes.
He talks about, and I knew Reeves there was some, either one of y'all, have y'all seen All President's Men? Or am I the only one?
I don't think I have.
I have not.
Okay. Do you know what the film was about?
I do not know.
Was that the one?
That's Woodward and
inspired by
Bernstein,
Yes,
Watergate.
Watergate?
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
Robert
yeah.
Redford and
Robert Redford.
And Dustin Hoffman. Okay. Play the
Okay.
two Washington Post reporters who broke the Watergate story. And he's talked about that film being partially part of the inspiration for the Gordon Batman relationship.
Ooh.
Because of being they're reporters in All the President's Men, but they are doing detective work and being investigators, which Gordon
Yeah.
and the some of the scenes where they would meet. You know, I guess where the bat signal was in a building that's being built. Did you get that, Ryan, from the commentary?
Like in the movie, a building's
Yeah.
being built and it's here.
Where Gordon and Batman would meet.
I just kind of figured because it looked like a construction zone.
He had said something about Gordon and Batman meet the high rise under construction, and that was inspired by where Woodward and Bernstein would meet their source, Deep Throat. And
Nice.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that building was being built or was abandoned or what.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
I didn't either until this. So
I'm always kind of I'm entertained and sometimes fascinated by ironies. And one thing that he brought up was when Reeves was talking about the relationship with Gordon, and he used Gordon and Martinez, and he said, well, look at the crime scene at the beginning. It's almost like Martinez is kind of like disgusted by Batman and Gordon is his ally. And then at the funeral scene with Bruce Wayne, Martinez is fascinated by Bruce Wayne and Gordon's kind of disgusted by. And I just think the idea of those ironies, I think, are like, it's kind of fascinating. And it made me think of almost like a Flash Thompson with Spider-Man. He's a bully to Peter Parker, but he's fascinated by Spider-Man. It's just like ironies like that kind of stuff. It's funny to me, and I hadn't really thought about that until Reeves brought it up.
Couple things that piqued my interest about the interrogation scene, and we'll start wrapping this up here shortly. Between Batman and the Riddler, Reeves said that the Riddler thinks they're going to have a emotional romance when Batman comes to see him at Arkham, and we've talked about that before. It was clear that the Riddler thought him and Batman were going to be were the same and going to be partners in all this. You know, you're part of this too. And I did not get this. Then I went back and watched. The music in that scene changes between the Batman theme and the Riddler theme to represent who's getting the upper hand in the conversation. Did y'all notice the difference in the music going back and forth?
I did not notice it, but I have to rewatch the scene. But I love little like nuances like that where the filmmakers kind of, you know, they used music to their advantage. I really always think music is like the emotional force of the film.
I wrote down,
you can really change.
I wrote the quote down. He says, when Batman realizes he missed something and didn't solve it, the music switches back around and becomes Riddler theme again. So it represents who's got the upper hand in the discussion.
And we already knew it, but I mean, Reeves emphasized how important Michael Giacchino's score was in the creation process as well with this, and how a lot of times it is like movies like almost been shot or something then sent off, but actually here, you know, which we've heard the story, Giacchino came up with the Batman theme, and they listened to it right before Robert Pattinson did his screen test in the suit, and how that really helped the fact that we have the music already as we're filming.
Let's see, couple other things. The Riddler saying he just ordered apple pie. He took that from an actual, it was inspired
pumpkin
by the Golden State Killer, which was another serial killer in California. Who,
was it really?
Yeah, when the police came to get
documentary on him,
he said, "I just put a roast in the oven." So he took
that. The Golden Gate Killer? Is that who you mean?
The Golden, yeah.
Golden Gate Killer. Okay, yeah. He was that guy. There's a fantastic documentary on that.
Yes.
Series of events, really bone chilling stuff.
Is that the one that was on HBO?
Yeah, it's Reno Central Hill. It's very Reno.
The Riddler Batman interrogation scene, they did 50 takes of that.
That's a whole day's work right there, everybody.
Oh, that's a whole day's work.
They spent a whole day shooting that one scene. Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Look, when when I was on set for The Dark Knight and they were filming and I told this story, when they were filming Gordon and Batman in the where was he at? In the vault.
The bank vault?
Bank vault,
Okay.
yeah. That was like 4 or 5 hour shoot. And I was
How many takes is that then?
God,
In 4 or 5 hours.
we were watching them and it was on a monitor and they did Gordon, they did Bale and Oldman together. They did just Bale. They did just Gordon. And it was just, I don't know how many takes, but it was a lot. And then what is it? 2 minutes on the screen, maybe? You know?
Crazy.
I mean, I'm not a filmmaker, but I'll tell you what, making those toy review videos, making that 10-minute video,
You understand?
it's at least 2 hours worth of filming. You guys have no idea what it's like to post an action figure for a review.
Did y'all, was it y'all's interpretation at the end when Batman shoots himself with the adrenaline and it goes,
Oh, the Venom, yeah.
yeah, the Venom.
I thought it could be a new version. We've talked about this though.
Yeah.
I thought it could, like, that planted the seed for a Venom type story, not Bane's Venom,
Yeah, it definitely could.
but some kind of drug.
I took it as the Denny O'Neil Venom, right? From the storyline Venom, not the
Yes.
hulking Bane Venom. But
Yeah.
you know, it's adrenaline, sure.
Yeah.
well, anyway, we talked about that. So anyway, Bruce beats the hell out of that last Riddler goon, Riddler follower. Did y'all take it as Batman was going to kill that guy?
Until Gordon intervened, I
Yeah.
think he very well might have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Right.
don't know how many more punches a face could take.
Because Gordon was going to get punched himself. Let's not, Gordon was about to catch another one.
Reeves
But,
Reeves confirms that he was out of control at that point.
Yeah.
And Gordon basically
I don't even think he's thinking at that point.
No.
He's literally just physically reacting to the situation, and that is, I'm going to get this guy off Selena.
he says
So
go ahead, Ron.
I love what he says about and fill in parts here, Bill, if you remember, as he's talking about that scene in the arena and how I think the down on the ground and then looking down was filmed in the arena, James R. Thompson Center, and then in the rafters was a very small set in
where is
in
this?
Liverpool,
James R. Thompson Center.
Chicago.
Oh, how expected.
He said filmed in the arena, but that is so the Gotham State or Gotham Square Garden on the outside that we see. I didn't know that they filmed inside of that. I thought they just got, because they had such a small time in Chicago, I thought they just did exteriors of it. But I'm pretty sure, didn't he, Bill, say that they shot inside of it?
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, it fascinates me too, of like the power of filmmaking of
Yeah.
two completely different places that they filmed, and yet you're cutting back and forth between the two as if it's one.
Oh, it's like in The Dark Knight when he saves Rachel, got the Joker pushes her out of the building, the penthouse. That was in Chicago when he pushes her, and when they landed was on a set in the UK.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love movies.
But back to that scene, he says he's been lucky, Batman, that he has killed somebody, but he does think of himself as he would not kill, but he's just been lucky. And he says, and here I think if Gordon didn't come and stop him, he would have killed this guy. Absolutely. That's how out of control he was. And Gordon kind of brings him to his senses. And Reeves mentioned this is part of the ego, Batman ego comic book inspiration of Batman just out of control. It's just Batman, you know.
I would have never gotten that part was from ego.
I wouldn't either until he brought that up, and then I got it. I understood.
I have learned so much of this movie just from listening to the two of you talk. No, seriously, it has. Just and I only listen to commentaries maybe once, to be brutally honest with you.
Yeah.
But it really, I'm still craving that Nolan commentary for any of the trilogy movies, because it's like, in my opinion, it's the only thing missing from those films.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's just fun. Even when Snyder did his thing on Vero, it was fun to listen to him talk about how he made the movie,
Sure.
inspired this, what that. And any director, it just takes you as a member of the audience, kind of backstage, kind of in their head, like what's going on, how they did this. It's fascinating to listen to. And even though I only listened to them once, it's well worth the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it worked too in the fact that I was kind of able to listen to mine like it was a podcast while I was driving. I wasn't trying to watch.
I think that's a great idea.
But I think that was it
worked out
that
actually.
Where my phone, it can go to the, it can go blank, but it was still playing.
Yeah.
And that just worked because then it was like.
I might do that on my ride home tonight from work. Actually,
Oh, it's really good.
Just drive around for 3 hours.
Well, I'll break it up into 3 days. It takes me about an hour.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to mention, and we know this, is that the reason for cutting the Joker scene, or not, I'm sorry, the reason why the Joker Riddler scene is in the movie, Reeves had cut it, put it back in, cut it, put it back in. Took me a couple times, but I got it completed the Riddler's arc. I got that. He didn't win, even though Gotham flooded and all this stuff, but what he wanted, what he was out to get didn't happen. And
most of the steps of what he wanted to happen did happen, but it was that ultimate goal at the very end that didn't happen.
A Batman and him becoming emotional
pals.
Well, in a way, what he wanted to happen did, just with the wrong person. He wanted to become friends with Batman, when essentially what he did do was he became friends with the Joker. So like, again, that's how I took it. Is he? And you guys are right. This guy's obsessed with Batman, probably more than any of us on this conference call here. But he wanted to be, what the Riddler wanted was a friend. He wanted someone who he thought, I guess, had similar interests with government corruption and murder, and he thought Batman was that person. But I think he found that person in the.
I've heard criticisms like Batman didn't solve anything and Batman didn't save the day, but that's just something. That's
just people trying to hate on the movie. I mean, you've all been in this situation before, whether you're putting up something in your backyard or you're fixing your car, someone gives you a little nudge and a light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, I know how to do this.
Because
these haters need to shut the hell up. I'm tired of listening to their bullshit.
Reeves even said that about a detective movie, and he's like, that's a detective story. It is like increments of information and trying this route and that route, and it ultimately coming in. He did save the day at the end.
Yeah,
he took out the guys that were trying to shoot and kill the mayor.
Last time I checked, those people didn't get electrocuted.
Yeah, he has brought up the fact that Batman is still learning. He's not fully formed Batman. And the Riddler, what he wanted with Batman, the whole purpose of all of that, of what he didn't happen. And Batman he saved a lot, and then you get to the scene, and then it begins the Batman arc, and bring the people, and he's the light. We've talked about that, and also that the reason for the Joker is not in that because it's like the Joker card in Batman Begins at the end. It's to show that Gotham, Selena says, this place is never going to change, and you think that the reason why Batman doesn't run off with her is because he's got to be there, and because more is coming. It's not over with, and this world has been built. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. What Reeves mean.
And people of Gotham are his children, and he needs to take care of them. That's
so. Ryan, am I missing anything you want to bring up? Did I not mention anything specific?
No, there's one part that I really liked in that we hadn't talked about yet, and how Reeves, I won't say idolizes, but cherishes John Turturro. And he for Falcone, which he says Falcone throughout the whole entire commentary, which I find is funny because it's Falcone in the movie, but he says Falcone every single time. And he said in the script that he wants a John Turturro like actor, and I forget who he was talking to, who said, well, why don't you just ask John Turturro? In which he just kind of didn't think that Turturro would want to do it, but Turturro was a Zorro and then Batman fan, and so let him read the script. Turturro agreed to it, which he said that he was kind of basically over the moon about. But Turturro did his own. He did the work. He read a lot of comics, but a big contribution of his was that saying to Bruce of, your dad operated me right there on the table as I was looking down, because that was his pull from The Long Halloween. Reeves didn't have that in there. Turturro did.
Oh god.
And so I mean, us big nerds like that love the comics, when you find out people, anybody, I mean, Reeves' idea, I'd have been like, oh, that's awesome. But the fact that Turturro brought that up and put that in there was like,
I
cool.
like the amount of collaboration that went on set. Just to listen to you talk, it seems that Reeves was like, okay, try my way, we'll try your way, and we'll see what works best. Like, there was no ego involved in the making of this movie.
There was an ego involved.
Oh well,
Sorry.
There was no, no one thought they were top dog. It seemed like everyone was like, okay, we're in this together. Let's make this movie as best we can. And it's good to hear positivity come from a DC set, because usually you get those reports or whatever, and you're like, oh god, here's another story. This person's complaining again. It's just, gosh, just wonderful news coming out of DC, and it's great to see. It just is.
He did talk about, because I realized we haven't really mentioned much about Colin Farrell, but Pete, you'll want to listen, because he does talk about Colin Farrell and how he came up with the makeup, coming up with the character and dialect, and then after shooting the last scene with Oz, I don't want to tell you, but he brings it up there about what he says to Colin and stuff, which is cool.
Great.
Last question, Ryan, since you watched, and then Pete, you can answer just from listening to what we talked about. And did it make you appreciate the film more after listening to Reeves, Ryan, or?
I'm going to say no, but it's not like a negative, because I already really, I mean, it's my new record, 7 times in a theater. Whoop, whoop. I don't know what else could happen with the movie to make me appreciate it more, but like, I loved hearing all the specifics that I did. It's not supposed to be a negative by me saying no. I just don't think oh my god, I love the movie more now that I listened to that.
I'm with you,
because I already did.
I already love the movie. It's my favorite Batman movie. I just really enjoyed hearing the little things that I didn't even pick up.
Yeah.
And things that you wouldn't know, the influences, There was no one out there going, oh, that's inspired by all the President's Men.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like Jekyll Hyde.
Pete, as much as you said you like listening to, as much as we've said, there's a lot more.
Yes.
So, I mean, anybody that listens, we didn't fully you don't have to listen to it now. If commentary's not your thing, I totally get it. But there's a lot of cool information that's also included in there.
I don't know if there's a Batman film to date that I appreciate more than this movie. And every little bit that comes to my doorstep that, I can put in my collection, I appreciate the film more and more, just because where we have come from. And especially us, because we're in the thick of it. We're on Twitter, we're out there, where we have our opinions out there. People come at us when they don't like to hear what we have to say and whatnot. And for this movie to be the success it is, for this movie to be as praised as it is, again, the action figures galore, like it's 1995, like it just all really hit me at the right moment at the right time, and I can't appreciate a Batman film more, even more than Batman Begins. Batman Begins wasn't like, it didn't like set the world on fire, kind of like this did. Like, this really kind of united people fandom wise, and it really brought everyone together and praised it. And there's a few idiots out there who don't like it for whatever reason, but and they're gonna say some dumb things. But there's not a Batman film I appreciate more than this one. No, really, this one really gets to me.
When the Bat's True Calling, I think, is the track, which is basically his big arc moment in the third act. When that plays, Reeves talks about that. He said, when he was in post-production, I think, with that, and using Giacchino's music with that moment. He said that was his big whoosh moment for how long, for everything. It's almost like a culmination. He said it made it, reflect on how long the journey's been in making the movie, the hurdles and stuff because of COVID and stuff. Remember the dialect coach, Andrew Jack, who passed away because of COVID. And he said, like, thinking of him and like all that hit him with that music. Which, Pete, I think that relates a little bit to what that's related in a way of what you just kind of said.
Yeah,
like a culmination of,
aside from
stuff.
The loss of friends, we've kind of been there with them the whole time, right? The whole movie, he gets announced in 17. And then it's like, okay, well, who's the lead actor? And you go through that
5 years later.
and you go through the writing process, and then it just, it seemed like it never would get here. It really did. It seemed like a really long journey to get to this movie, but like once you get there, you're like, man, it was all worth it. All the crap we went through.
Peter Verra just made me appreciate the movie more.
But it really is, man. Like there's even more than, like I said, even more than Batman Begins, because there's so much time between Batman and Robin, and but it's like no one was as toxic, and miserable, and their hatred online between. There was none of that for Batman and Robin. But like post JL era to this, like it was rough, man, to the point where you're just like, man, this sucks. But like, again, the Batman comes out and it makes you see the good side of fandom, and we're able to, and I've said this before, in order to move on, you need the next thing to come out before you can forget about the last thing. And, we're getting there, we're so many movies ahead into the new era that, lights at the end of the tunnel, and things are looking good. And like I said, I just really do appreciate this movie with all my heart, because those 5 years were rough as a Batman fan. They just were.
I will say to anybody listening, and if look, I'm not the biggest fan of commentaries either. I can probably count on one or two fingers commentaries I've listened to. Probably, I think some of Burton stuff, from Batman and all that. But this one I really wanted to listen to. I know this sounds silly, and I've said this before, but Matt Reeves he and I are the same vintage. And I get what he was doing with this probably more than any other Batman film. And I really was looking forward to hearing what he had to say. And I'm glad I figured it out, even if I had to pay for an extra version of it. But
I don't know how.
But listen to it. I highly
commentary is right on the home screen.
I highly recommend to anybody.
Yeah,
check it out. Especially if you love the movie. You'll appreciate what Matt Reeves has to say. So with that, let's plug. Ryan, go ahead.
Can I bring up the Target thing quick?
Yep.
Because Bill, you've watched all the extras.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched any except the exclusive 15-minute thing on the Target Blu-ray that's called Gotham Planning. And it basically, it's taking, and I don't know how much of this is maybe used in other spots or not. I don't know. It's one 15-minute and some seconds thing. It's not like watch just a couple, then move to the next. But it takes you around the sets, and it's pretty cool in showing you the sets. You get interior of the Wayne Tower, Selena's apartment, a little bit of the Iceberg Lounge. What else? And I don't know. It's pretty impressive. With that, there was more. I don't know if you saw this in extras. There was more GCPD filmed. It reminded me of Arkham Origins when Batman goes into GCPD, and it's a big open room, because they said it was an old art house, or art building or something, and whoever it was that was talking about, maybe James Chinland, who's the production designer, and it was after they've gotten some of the Riddler's clues, and they're projected up on the screen at the front of the big room, and they talk about it's projected up there for all the police officers to be looking at that as they're trying to decipher the code and yada yada and stuff, and you see it and you're like, oh, we didn't see any of that in the movie.
Yeah.
So that was something that was cut. nothing big, but that scene of Bruce going down to Alfred at the beginning, and he puts on the sunglasses. They're talking about the Wayne penthouse, and they show Bruce is in a chair, a sitting chair, and Alfred's next to him, and he's got the glasses on. So it seems like a continuation of that scene or something that wasn't included in the movie. Stuff like that. Nothing too like, what? We were robbed. Hashtag release the Reeves cut. Nothing like that. But it's just kind of, I don't know, interesting stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's cool. I wonder where that would have been. Oh, that's cool too. So I couldn't say between the Best Buy Steelbook, the Walmart package, the Target one, which version should you buy of the three. Pete and I own Best Buy and Walmart. Now me, Target. Pete's probably gonna go pick up Target too, because why not? They've all got their bonuses, I guess. But with Target, if you're thinking about Target, the 15-minute extra is pretty cool. The end.
Now you make me want to go get that just so I can watch that.
You know what?
Extra.
You've already bought, a digital. What's going and buying another physical?
Yeah. I know what I'm doing today.
For 15 minutes.
You should make Jake buy it just to reimburse.
There you go.
Jake ain't got no damn money. Okay.
make him do some chores.
Doesn't he work at like the local Piggly Wiggly?
If Jake bought it, that means I buy it. You know how that works. He's in college, man.
Make him mow the lawn.
Yeah.
I worked at the radio station in college.
I had an early morning shipping job in college. That was rough.
No, I worked at the college radio station.
Nice.
I refereed football, basketball, and baseball. That was my part-time job in college. I made more doing that than I would have if I had a 20-hour-a-week job somewhere. It was it was good. Okay.
No,
anyway.
it was great. I was able to run the radio station in school. I did all my homework while I was at work. It was
sweet.
I don't know. College is great. I don't know how I got anything done. Can I go back?
We always days. Yes. All right. Plug, Ryan.
Okay. I need to go first before Pete.
Shut up.
Actually, after this, Pete and I are gonna record the next episode of the Batman Book Club, which will then drop pending when this drops. I mean, today or it might be available by the time that you hear the end of this. And that's the Batman Book Club. Follow on Twitter at the Batman BC. Bill posts all those on Batman on Film.
What's the topic? Is it a wrap up? May wrap up?
Oh, what is the topic, Ryan?
The topic is ookses.
Bill's favorite topic, Batman.
I don't know what that is.
The Supergirl from Krypton, a 6-issue arc from the Superman Batman series. Pete's been excited about that one for a while, and I'm really glad that he chose it. It's a pretty badass story. But yeah, we're going to talk about that one. And as far as for me on Batman on Film, I've got reviews. Batman Beyond the White Knight, the most recent issue review, is up on BOF. The monthly Batman book is on BOF. Check out BOF podcasts with Mr. Minnesota, Garrett Grev. He's had me on to talk the past few. I also got to talk to Sean Murphy for episode 196. So there you go. Check out Batman on Film.
Peter, big shot.
Yeah, here we go.
Here's the show. Social media. Shut up, Lauer. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Zack Snyder's favorite platform, Vero at Pete Illustrated. You can follow podcast number 1. That's a news-based podcast that I co-host with the champion of Long Island, Eric Holzman. Straight to Gotham at straight_O_G on both Instagram and Twitter. Check out our Facebook group and our Facebook fan page. A lot of great discourse there. You can check out podcast number 2, the Italian Spider-Man Coalition podcast that I co-host with Chicago's finest, Nicholas and Nico Caruso. Just a couple of Goombas talking Spider-Man, so check that out. We got a couple of episodes in the can. We got to record a new one. Check out Batman on Film YouTube for my toy reviews and my interviews with Tara Strong and Michael Uslan. Check out Batman on Film proper for my comic book reviews. I got a new detective up. Find out what the Chicago River has to do with the Riddler. I made a little reference there, so if you want to dive deep, take a look at that. And just hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on socials. I'm all around. I love talking. It's baseball season, so your timeline's going to get flooded with home runs and stolen bases. So if you don't like that, I got nothing for you.
All right. All I got is if you like Batman on Film, if you like these shows, want to help keep the engine going, patreon.com/Batman on Film. You can contribute. If you'd like to advertise on Batman on Film, advertisecast.com/Batman on Film. There are links to both on Batman on Film proper. And I think that's about it. Everything's, and all these podcasts are part of the Batman Podcast Network. Go to Batman on Film. Podcast menu drops down. It says Batman Podcast Network. And there's also a logo. So for all this stuff, Patreon, Advertise Cast, Batman Podcast Network, there's a logo. So that's all I got. Announcer Rachel will take us out. Thanks to Ryan and Pete for coming on. Watch that commentary. I highly recommend it, or listen to it. Watch it and listen to it. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jett's official vlog and podcast on Batman on Film. Follow Jett on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. Follow the BOF newsfeed on Twitter @TheBatmanOnFilm. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, established in 1998.